Welcome to the Knife Junkie podcast, your weekly dose of knife news and information about knives and knife collecting. Here's your host, Bob the Knife Junkie DeMarco.
Welcome to the Knife Junkie podcast. I'm your host, Bob DeMarco. On this edition of the show, I'm speaking with Roger Pearson of Savage Creature Defense Tools. Mr. Pearson's work is relatively new to me, having recently been recommended by a listener who knows my tastes. But it seems from his refined designs and impeccable execution, Roger is not new to knife making. As his company moniker implies, his knives are intended for practical self-defense, for the GFO scenario, an ugly usage at best, but the blades themselves are quite beautiful. We'll meet Roger and find out what drives him to make his Japanese-inspired implements of chaos. But first, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and download the show to your favorite podcast app. That way, you can listen on the go. Also, if you'd like to help support the show, you can share it. That goes many, many miles to help the show, sharing it with a like-minded individual. But also, you can scan the QR code on the screen and join us on Patreon. You can do that, or you can go to TheKnifeJunkie.com/Patreon and see what we have to offer you there. It is TheKnifeJunkie.com/Patreon.
Adventure Delivered, your monthly subscription for hand-picked outdoor, survival, EDC, and other cool gear from our expert team of outdoor professionals. TheKnifeJunkie.com/BattleBox.
Roger, welcome to the Knife Junkie podcast, sir.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's nice to see you. Nice to meet you. I've been viewing your knives for about maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months on Instagram, and I absolutely love them. They're right up my alley. I love EDC defensive fixed blades, and that seems to be what you're making. When did you get started? Is this something you've been doing a while? What's up?
It's been only a few years, to be honest. I think I dropped my first set of knives out there in 2022, September 22. I remember it was my birthday that month, and I was excited because it was like my first drop. You know, I'm pretty sure it's only been a few years, but I mean, I've spent a lot of time doing it every minute.
How did you get into it? Have you always been a knife guy, or?
I've always been a knife guy. It started when John Rambo hit the big screen, you know, back in the 80s. And I really wanted to make knives when I was a kid. I used to take my grandfather's butter knives and put them on his grinder and got in lots of trouble. But tattooing was my other game. That's what I ended up. Life took me down that path. I was a professional tattoo artist for like 26 years. Wow. But I've always been into it. I was like, you know what? Screw it, man. Like tattooing kind of got mundane for me. I wasn't in love with it anymore. So I basically flipped the script overnight and closed my tattoo shop, moved to Ohio a little bit later afterwards, you know, and here we are.
No kidding. You are not the first guy we've spoken to who's a tattoo artist either.
There's a lot of us in the scene, yeah.
Yeah. It's like Marines, former Marines, and tattoo artists.
Yeah.
What do you think it is that draws people like you to the craft of making knives?
Well, I would say from the tattooer's perspective, I mean, if you're a tattoo artist and you're a dude, you're drawing knives. You're drawing them for tattoos, you know, hearts and daggers, hearts and roses, just knives, just knives. I got one on my forearm right there. Like, there's a lot of knife tattoos. It's a thing, you know, knives and skulls. And, you know, so I've always been drawing stuff, you know. So, you know, I think every tattooer is in that same rail if they're a guy, and a lot of women too love that kind of stuff. So it kind of makes sense, you know. I've also known tattoo machine builders that were also knife makers.
Oh, wow.
Which was pretty cool, you know.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say guys. You also mentioned girls because there are plenty of women out there who like knives. We've had a couple of them on the show.
Yeah, there's a couple of really awesome female knife makers. Like Jen Lint, you ever heard of her?
Yeah, she's been on the show. Yeah. She's awesome.
She's young, dude. I think she's in her early 20s or something.
Yeah.
You know, that's awesome.
But there is definitely something, I think, in the male makeup that draws us to knives.
It's the testosterone, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
For me, I'm really big on it. Like function is always key, of course, the most important thing, but I really love the art aspect of knife making too, because I mean, it's a tool. As long as it does its job, its intended purpose, it's well made, you know, the heat treat's good. Outside of that, it's like, how cool can you make it look? You know? Some people are into really like simple stuff where they just see it as a tool. That's all it is. It doesn't need to look any type of way. And I respect that. But then there's also us that are like, check this out,
Yeah. Well, okay, we're gonna take a look at your knives in a second and talk more about them. But I'm interested now, knowing that you're a tattoo artist, and obviously tattoo artists are drawing all the time, not just for work, but just because you're an artist at heart. What are the kind of things you draw? What kind of art do you make, or did you make outside of tattooing and knife making?
Man, I did so much. It's hard to narrow that down, to be honest. But like, I love to draw. I like dark stuff, like kind of macabre shit. Sorry about the S, but so I would draw like really kind of gothic-y looking knives and stuff. Like maybe like a severed hand with long fingernails and nasty, like really elegant dagger, that kind of stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, I grew up drawing, and I'm an artist of sorts myself, and I used to draw barbarians. I was really into like Conan style stuff with these elaborate swords with hilts and gems and stuff like that.
That's awesome. I mean, one of my favorite old artists is Boris Vallejo.
Oh yeah.
I love Boris, dude, and Frank Frazetta.
Yep.
I mean, come on.
Both of them. I mean, how cool would it be to have an original of either one of those guys' work?
Yeah.
Hanging in your studio.
Yeah. Frank Frazetta is my one. He's my main on those two, but it's just nobody does it like that.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't seem like that kind of stuff gets made too much anymore at all.
I mean, no, it's sad, but that's true. And now everything's digital anyway. So it's like those guys, they laid it down for real,
Yeah. In oil paints. So just from looking at your Instagram page and also just kind of glancing behind you, I know that you're influenced by Japanese work and that kind of thing. How does that play into? And we're actually now, Jim brought up your page, so we're seeing some of your work here. But how does the Japanese influence? How are you influenced by that stuff?
Okay, that also goes back to tattooing. Because Japanese tattooing is really big in the tattoo industry. They have a whole culture on it in Japan, like traditional Japanese stuff. There's a lot of tradition going on. Like their culture is rich, So like when you're in the tattoo culture, like there's tons of Japanese art. So, when you're drawing a piece for somebody and they're like, hey, I want this demon Watson whatever, and then you start researching that, you start learning more shit, and then that turns you on. So Japanese culture in general to me is pretty awesome. I just finished this piece today if you want to check it out real quick.
Yes,
pretty Japanese inspired. This one's called Kusanagi, and it's about a 1/4 inch thick. This is one of my favorite pieces actually that I make. It's just
that is
I put this, try to get this, I call this a Stormlands finish that I do. It's just a little bit of science, Super
so
cool
wait, don't put it away. Hold it back up. Let's see this. So obviously you look at the sukamaki wrap and that handle, that we can see the obvious Japanese influence there.
Yeah, so that in itself is, it's a whole thing, a part of their culture, and it just looks so beautiful. And like my whole thing is I like my blades to kind of have an archaic vibe, like the steel itself, but I like it to have a beautiful handle. So you have both things, I love opposite things, like crunchy and soft food. Love it. Sweet and sour. So, like I like the contrast of having kind of a mean looking blade, but with a beautiful handle. And Japanese sukamaki it's an art all in itself,
Yeah.
It makes your fingers hurt.
So, the actual wrapping of it makes.
Oh, doing it? Yeah, like my hands they're probably puffy right now, you know?
Yeah, I can see that a little bit. So hold it back up. I'm interested in the finish you put on this blade. And just if you're listening, the knife we're looking at has a sukamaki wrap and with the ray skin under the lace. But also we see an upswept Japanese style. I don't know. What do you call that? A Quaken style blade? What is that?
No, Quakens are usually kind of straight. I don't know what to call this, man, but it's just, I feel like I wanted it to be good for slashing, maybe chopping, and puncture. So, I mean, it's got like that forward swoop, you know, so slash, it's going to pull into that belly, and your barbecue is going to taste great.
No doubt. Okay, so what is the finish you put on that?
It's a little secret.
Oh, okay. Like, what do you call it? You said
I call it Stormlands. The Stormlands finish. But I do a bunch of different kind of stuff, and a lot of it is just like acid work, you know, like different layering this and that. Just, you know, I've almost caught a few things on fire playing with that, you know.
Well, so that ancient art of wrapping a handle like that, to me, it's one of my favorite grips.
It's so grippy. You can't go wrong.
Yeah. I love the way it looks. And then when you actually get it in hand, it's got these alternating peaks and valleys that really...
your fingers really lock in, you know?
Yeah. So how did you learn that?
I'm a visual learner. So like, I watched a simple, I couldn't even send you the links. I don't know, a video on YouTube. And then I just got some stuff out and started doing it until I got good at it. My fingers have biceps now. Pretty cool.
So you clamp it down and you do the wrap full on while it's isolated, I would imagine.
Some people, like most people, put it in a blade vise that, you know, rotates.
Yeah.
So you do one side, get it tight and, you know, fixed up, and then you flip it over and do the other side. I didn't have a blade vise when I started doing it, so I literally just hold it with both of my hands. It gets really painful, but I tried it in a blade vise and I just couldn't get it as clean. I'm too used to doing it my way, so I'll suffer through it, you know. But I do a lot of that, yeah.
All right, so how did you come up with the design for this knife, and how do you design your work?
Well, I just think about like what's its function, you know, like is it going to be a stabber, you know, like this. I just finished this today for your podcast. This is the Titan. This is one of my most popular knife models, but this one is the first one with the full double edge I did today. So, you know, this is a stabber, you know. You're not out there trying to slice, you know. So with this right here, you know, you could slice your Thanksgiving ham with that thing, or your annoying neighbor, you know. But then some of the stuff that I do, like I like Japanese stuff, so I'll do I love this one. I love like straight tanto style blades, like, you know, your traditional kind of tanto knife. This thing I just did too, it's got a similar finish.
Wow.
This one's chisel ground.
So it's double beveled, but chisel ground, right? Oh, no.
Single bevel, yeah.
It's a full on, oh man. That's
all the way. And then the sheath is like, it's a Kydex sheath with some leather work on it. Nothing crazy, but pretty cool.
All right. So hold up the blade. Yeah, that sheath is pretty good. That sheath is elaborate and beautiful. Oftentimes we'll see Kydex with a leather wrap around it, but this is Kydex with leather accents.
It's got the logo on there, which is my dog's face, which my dog is Creature. That's his name. Like, you know, when I was trying to decide what I wanted to name the company, at first it was going to be Creature Customs. And I'm like, but he has done some terrible things, man. He's killed some animals that we were trying to nurse back to health and stuff. So one day I was just like, dude, you're a savage creature, like yelling at him. I was like, that's it. I'm just going to call it that. Use his face as the logo, you know.
He's a little French bulldog, though, right?
Yeah, he's awesome.
And they are like the cutest, friendliest dogs ever. So
you can't be mad at them.
It's a great contrast again. you know?
Right. I call it like if we had like Game of Thrones house words, our house would be small but mighty, you know, because he's a tough little dude, man. He's not a
shrinking violet.
He's awesome. He's just kind of fearless, man. One time I saw him out by the fence and he's shaking around a piece of rope. I get out there. It's a freaking big ass black snake.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's killed an owl. He's killed some possums, and we were trying to like help these animals.
Killed an owl?
Yeah, we found an owl. He was kind of like acting weird, middle of the day, down in Florida. So we brought it in to help it and see if a place could come and get it. Creature freaking crushed its head, man, right in his biscuit.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, I can't believe you just did this. And he's looking at you like, it was so good. You know, it's like, God.
Well, he got some wisdom out of it, you know.
He's killed so much stuff. And lizards, the Florida lizards, you know about them?
There's
little lizards that run around Florida everywhere. They're like little brown anoles will sit on the fence. He's killed so many of those, man. Like, he'll just bite them and break their back and leave them there. It's like, come on, dude. But yeah.
Pull up the double-edged one. I'm not done with that one yet. So this now when I'm looking at this, it's got the traditional wrap again with the white and black ray skin. That looks really cool.
Yeah, I like that too.
But in profile, it looks somewhat like a spear point, drop point, but really it's a double-edged fighter.
It's basically a dagger with a asymmetrical handle. You know, you can hold it any way, though. You know, you can, no matter how you hold this knife. It means business. I prefer this grip with the Titan. Normally, the Titans are a full belly and like a swedge that's sharp up here, so it can be like utilitarian.
Yeah.
So I try to apply that too for people that they just want a cool knife at work, you know.
Yeah.
But this is one of my favorites. This is one of my bigger, most popular models, I guess, you know. This one and the Masako, which we'll get to the Masako. The Masako is hands down everybody's favorite, it seems.
I think I might know which one that is, but don't get quit yet. I don't want to breeze over these knives yet. But I'm interested to know why or how did you arrive at fighting knives, tactical knives? These are, just so you know, like these are my favorite kinds of knives. I have a giant, pretty healthy collection, we'll say. And that's what I like to collect the most, fighting knives. And especially, ones that I can carry on a daily basis.
Right.
How did you arrive at that style of knife to make?
I've always been into, as a boy, a kid growing up, you're into like nunchucks and switchblades and throwing stars. And that's all, we know what all that stuff's for, and it's like, but later, I found Libre knife fighting. And I'm no expert at that by any means, but I dabble. And just that whole business. And it's like, I like fixed blades. I don't really do folders. And, I like other stuff too. Like, I'm a city guy. So like the whole bushcrafting part, like I just never really got too much into that because I've never lived that life really, I'm West Palm Beach, Florida rat,
Okay.
But I do like to make weird shit like this one.
Ooh.
I call this one the Hobbit Slayer. This was just a project that I did for fun.
I was gonna say this looks like something an elf would carry.
Exactly. But it has like a aluminum hammered scales with a sukamaki, and that's cobra skin underneath.
No way.
But this was like just something to do for fun. Like if I could sit around doing like silly stuff like this all day, I'd be like pretty happy, But it's still good and functional. It's got that bow and the blade. Pretty sweet, This is the 10-year-old boy in me right here.
Yeah, exactly. And we all us grown men have the 10-year-old boy still living healthy. So one could justify that as a brisket knife or a barbecue knife. You were mentioning before.
Dude, you could slice some meat up with this thing. It's the balance on it, the way it moves. That's worthy of Legalos, man. It feels really good in the hand, like the way everything flows like this. It's just, it works. It works good. I like it.
So what's
I
your
kept it. You know?
what's your design? How do you design stuff? Since I know you're an artist, you're a tattoo artist, but also, to be a tattoo artist, you've got to be really good with a pencil.
Right.
And
Yeah, I hand
especially
draw
if you're
stuff.
going to use one of those one of those machines to actually draw accurately on someone's moving skin. I mean, that still blows me away. But so tell me about your design process. How do you go about actually coming up with what you're going to make?
Well, all right. So I mean, it depends. Like some stuff's easy, like straight blades, or like this would be a Quaken, like something like this. It's a design that's been around forever. So I'm like, I'm gonna make this. But then some stuff, I'm like the Masako, for instance. I was like, I kind of wanted like a curved dagger style blade, but with a neutral handle. So no matter how it's in your hand, it's ready to go in any grip. And it took off really good, that one did. But, I try to just think about the function of it and apply that to the mechanics, like, and then some stuff is like kind of just like that big knife I just showed you is pure fantasy. Like I just draw a sketch of it on paper or on an iPad on a sketchbook or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And then I transfer that into the profile. I draw it on a piece of steel, cut it out, and away we go. Some stuff I plan, some stuff I do not plan at all, to be honest. Like, I mean, I'll plan like the function of the design, but like sometimes you're just kind of like, I want to make like this weird elven knife, and this is how I want it to look. So you get to sketching on, you make a sketch of it, and then try to just build it from there. You decide, okay, what am I going to do with the handle? I think I want to do this, and you kind of create that, scribbles on paper, and then transfer it into the final thing. Sometimes things go great. Sometimes they go terrible. And sometimes they turn into something totally different and it works out anyway,
That's like the work of art talking back and telling you what it wants to be.
Yeah. Sometimes you just let it make itself. If it's something that you're just making to make, really, sometimes like some stuff I really plan out, like has a job, like it's specific job.
Yeah.
But like some stuff, you don't want to always be doing that. You want to just make art,
Yeah.
So you try to make functional art, dangerous functional art. And I always like my stuff to kind of have a dark aesthetic, like no bubblegum and lollipops over here, like I want my stuff to look like if a Nazgul did Libre fighting, that's what he would use, something like that,
So how did you learn how to make knives?
I watched some videos on YouTube, just a couple, and man, really, I'm the kind of person that I'll just look into material wise, what's good and worth using or whatever, and kind of read up and learn about the steel or whatever. And then I just kind of do it. I'm a jump in the deep end kind of dude, like without looking for rocks kind of guy. Like, I've thought about doing this for, I don't know, like I'm about to be 49. So like a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And, you kind of plan a lot as you go through life. You're like, oh, what if I was doing this? And you kind of just create stuff in your head and on it goes. But I really I'm a hands-on person. I got to if I can watch it and then do it, I can do it, so I just skip all the stuff in the front and just jump into doing it.
So when you have that kind of process, that's kind of how I generally tend to be. But when you have that kind of process, there's some like serious science that goes into knife making. It's not
way more than you'd think too.
Yeah. So what was the trial and error period like for you? Like say for instance, for heat treat and that kind of thing.
Heat treat, that's a tricky one to get, and like, I just made a bunch of stuff and kind of did my thing and would beat the hell out of them. I didn't really have any other way of doing things. But then I found ADCR-V2 steel, which that's my go-to steel I like to use. It's pretty well-rounded for basically anything. And the heat treat's decently forgiving, like, so I stuck to just using that a lot to get it down, and now I'm quite confident on it, like that's all I really use. So I think we're good on that front.
Because
I've
like
used some other stuff too, like 1084, and I've done a couple of other things too, but the ADCR V2 is where my comfort zone is,
yeah, I would imagine like the biggest part is probably knowing how to heat treat it, but also it seems like some steels, I mean, I know some steels are more forgiving on your tools too, on your
Right.
belts and that kind of thing.
Yeah, you want to use steel for the job that it's intended for, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to make a big bush crafting knife out of some weak steel, or like something that's going to be wet all the time. You don't really want to. I mean, you can use carbon steel and like really ultra keep track of maintenance in your blade. Cool. But, if I was a saltwater fisherman down in Florida, I'm using a stainless blade probably.
Yeah.
Like, cause it's always going to be wet with salt water. So yeah, you always want to use steel for like the purpose,
Yeah.
That's why I use ADCRV2, because it's pretty well rounded for stuff like this. It's strong. It holds an edge really nice. And the heat treat is not too crazy. Like some stuff, I don't have an oven. I use a forge. So like if you're gonna do some high end stainless steel, you really need an oven for that. The times and temps and everything need to be like,
So do you use the forge for other parts of the process besides the heat treat, or
I just use it for the heat treating process. I cut my profiles out on a bandsaw, and then profile them and heat treat them like that. New oven is probably that's my next upgrade. I really want to step it up because I would love to work with other steels. Like a lot of people love stainless steel, Magna Cut.
Yeah.
I think they just like to say Magna Cut. But, okay, let's get some Magna Cut, like whatever you need.
Yeah.
But, that stuff needs and then there's like the cryo temper process with a lot of those stainless steels. It's like, I don't have the setup for that. So I stick with good old carbon. Woo!
So you mentioned Libre knife fighting before. Tell us what that's all about and how it influenced your work.
Well, Libre is an edge weapon system developed by Scott Babb in 2004. And a lot of it is, you kind of can make Libre your own thing, like there's fundamentals to the system. And then you kind of, it's Libre, freedom fighting kind of, like you create whatever works for you. And I like that. And, making knives that are, for protecting yourself, it's probably a good idea to know how to use it, to understand even how to make a knife for that job. If you don't do that job, can you really understand the design or whatever for what you're making if you don't involve yourself in such things, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's that. And plus, it's good exercise, and you're good. You're good out. If you're in a situation, you have one up on most of the people around you, like you can protect yourself, somebody else, it's good to be able to defend yourself in this world, in this climate, especially.
Yeah.
So, I like that.
Yeah, I like watching Scott Babb's videos on Instagram. He's always got some pretty interesting kind of through lines or like lessons that he locks onto.
Right.
But one thing that always kind of pops out to me is that it's very pick call heavy, tip down, edge in, and it really I trained a lot in Kali, and Kali is awesome. I love it. But there is the self-perfection side where you're doing a lot of intricate kind of stuff that you would never use in a real knife fight. And then there's the
dance.
And then there's the self-preservation side that's more to the point. It seems like Libre is all self-preservation. There's not much of that of any fanciness. And it deals a lot with kind of gross motor motion and that kind of thing.
Sure. And another thing I like about it is the close quarter concepts, like with being trapped on a wall or, in multiple assailants, like it's all in there, like, and a lot, it's just combos mostly, like, if you have any kind of basic boxing skills, you can be on the good road to learn a good Libre, what works for you, things like that. I mean, I'm not an expert on it by any means, man. I dabble in it when I can. It's kind of a stress relieving to do, like just like, and even boxing a bob, like it makes you feel better. You kind of like, we're guys, we need to like exert ourselves a little bit, man. So Libre's a great way to do that and be able to handle business if need be.
Well, I know that you make a number of Pakal style knives, or at least curved double edge that look like they'd be great in a reverse grip. Is that what the Masako is?
That's the thing about the Masako. It's all things. I think that's why people like it. Because this is it. This is actually, I don't have a full-size Masako here to show you, but I have my favorite one. This is it. This is Masako Hachi. There's 3 sizes. This is the middle size, and there's a smaller one and a larger one. This one's my favorite, though. It's the Masako Hachi, which is Masako 8. And, I prefer it like this, because the tip is along with your knuckles. It gives you a little more distance, like where I turn like this, you got less distance. Like if you're trying to do eye spikes, you're not really getting it, but turned over, and even like you could still remove obstacles, things like that. I mean, you're good to go with the Masako. No matter how you hold it, it's good to go, like it's my favorite. And it ended up being most everybody else's favorite too. So I feel like, all right, cool. I did that one,
So hold it up. Let us just hold it still for a sec. Let's take a look at this. This thing is beautiful. This is probably my most admired blade on your channel. I mean, on your Instagram feed. I'm always looking at this. I saw one that you did like a purple ray skin under that sukamaki wrap, and it was just gorgeous. Now, in this one, I'm seeing on the handle, you're doing 2 kinds of different wraps. The one where it's flat, and then the one where
it has like, it's just flat wrap kind of, and then the middle is sukamaki or like folded and then back to the thing. I thought that'd be a cool contrast in the wrap, and it also kind of gives you a little swell in the middle.
Yes,
you can feel it. And then I also have the nodes from the Stingrays here. They're kind of bigger there, so those stick out a little more, so you can kind of feel that little swell, like a little, like almost pregnant belly on it. So it's a neutral handle. So, with that node, you can feel like where the tip is, like you're going to feel it, the swell. I mean, that's the whole point of the node. Or like a Manuki. I like using Manuki and stuff too.
Manuki,
for that purpose. And it looks great.
That's the little medallion under the wrap, right?
Yeah, it's little ornamental piece, which Manuki means ornament, and sometimes like on something like this, I did this just to be fun and fancy. I put it on both sides, but this is a straight blade, so it's kind of however you have it, you're gonna go.
And you got that Turkish knot as sort of a guard there.
Yeah, listen, I hate those knots. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'll be honest, I have my wife do my Turk head knots, guys. My wife does my Turk's knots, like, so don't give me the credit. It's all her.
It looks awesome. Hold that up again. So this is the one that has that elaborate sheath to it too.
Yeah, it had this little leather one here.
Oh man, pretty
fun.
Yeah.
This guy's like, "Hey, did you ship my knife?" I'm like, "No, I'm gonna put her show on this podcast. So you gotta wait a day." But yeah.
Well, I thank him for that, and thanks for keeping it around to show us.
Oh, for sure. I got a few others.
Let's see.
This right here is the Titan V2.
Ooh.
So I mean, this one has scales on it, but often this is the V1. That's the V2.
Okay, so if you're just listening, the Titan V1 is a spear point, double-edged spear point, asymmetrical handle So it's got a guard on one side, essentially. And then the second one, the
same
Titan 2,
handle
is a recurve. Okay, same handle. It's a recurve, dramatic recurve clip point with a sharpened, looks like a sharpened swedge there, right?
Yeah.
And a thumb swell. Wow, that is beautiful.
So this one's cool. You can grip it a lot of different ways, you know. You can even kind of voodoo grip it. But this is a cool knife. I like these two. I love doing these. They feel really good, even. And that recurve is definitely mean.
Yes.
That's also one of my. This one and the two Titans and the Masako are probably my favorites that I make. You know, and also you can, like, I make sure that this little curve where the guard or whatever you want to call it is here, like, so you can hold it with the edge down.
Yeah.
And it has that little
peak there.
Lock it in. It's going nowhere.
So it's got a great peaked pommel to cap.
Yeah, it fits right in your thumb, like no matter how you hold it. It's kind of center lined on the handle. So if you got it like this or like that, it's locked in there. It's going nowhere. I really like these.
Looking at this one now, I'm not sure if I like that or the Masako. That one is pretty sweet.
It is. I like it.
So it's somewhat rare that you use scales. This looks like G10 or maybe polished.
These are G10, yeah. I'll tell you, man, it's just so messy, dude. You know, like, and I hate to sound like a but I work in a small space. I don't have a huge elaborate shop. I have basically the size of a one-car garage. It's a freestanding building behind my house. And I've done my best to make it awesome in there, but man, there's so much dust, and G10 is not the best stuff. I mean, I wear a respirator and stuff, but it makes its way every damn where.
Yeah.
So, and plus I really like doing the handle rest, but I do scales, everyone. It doesn't have to be sukamaki-wrapped, you know, because people ask me all the time, dude, do you do scales? I'm like, yeah, just if I'm doing, you know, if you want to, you know.
If you want to be joyless like that, sure.
Yeah. Oh, and then this one here, this is the smallest of the Masako series.
Oh, okay. Hold this up next to the other one. Okay, so an interesting thing about this one is that, you know, when I first saw this on your page, I was like, oh, cool, a Pakal style knife. But really, it's not in a sense, because I always think of a curved handle. This has that straight.
Yeah, like an Elvia, you know, which is a great design.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of neutral handles. So, I mean, if it's in your hand, you're good, you know, like no matter how you have it. You know, there's one that's a little bit bigger than this one. So there's 3 sizes, which the big one was the first one I made. That was the original design. And then I was like, okay, I want to make more little EDC friendly version. And this one's called the Masako Ohime. And then this is the Masako Hachi.
I mean, in a way, they're similar to what are they called? The Middle Eastern blades that have straight handles but curved double edge.
Yeah, I love upswept blades like that. Like that's my personal. It just looks mean, man. You know, like I love Persian style blades, so that was a big part of making this. Is like I wanted like a Persian style blade, but pointy with a neutral handle. And I mean, I went through a couple of models in the early days trying to get to this. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I made a couple of models in the past, and this is what I was searching for. I just hadn't nailed it yet. And then Masako was born. And Masako was like the Edo period or feudal Japan. You know, she was like the first female shogun. She was a really highly respected figure back then, you know. And then Ohime is like the Masako's eldest daughter. It means eldest daughter or whatever. So like, all right, we'll just call it that. And then the Hachi was born, which the Masako Hachi, I'll be honest, was born out of a mistake, kind of. Like I was grinding a regular Masako, the full size one, and I messed the tip up really bad. So I was like, okay, so I wonder how this would be just a little shorter on the blade, but with the full size handle like the Ohime has a smaller handle, you know?
Yeah.
It's almost like they have the same blade, but a smaller handle. And this one has the full-size version's handle. And this is what was born. It ended up being my favorite. It's like, this is what I've been wanting the whole time. And here we are.
So how did this grow for you? I mean, you explained a little bit how it started. You moved to Ohio. You just wanted to change of scenery, change of pace. Tattoos had kind of run its course for you, and you wanted to get into knife making. But how did it happen that you are actually able to make a go of it? How did it happen that you were well received, and were you well received at first?
The knife community has been extremely kind to me. Yeah. Like, it kind of just went, you know, like I started doing it, and I was still tattooing when I first started. You know, I owned a tattoo shop in Palm Beach, so it was kind of like I had to do both, you know. And but I could come and go as I please. It was a private studio, like you had to have an appointment, so I could kind of make my own schedule. And you know, I spent every bit of my off time doing this. And then when the time came to like we wanted to move, it was like, you know what? I'm shutting down the shop. We're gonna move, and I'm just gonna do this because it was bringing in money right away. Like it was instant, you know. And it's like some of those old ones I kind of feel bad about, but you know, I spent a lot of time doing this, a lot of time, and basically every bit of my time, especially in the past 2 years, I've been doing it full time, like without any other income. But moving to Ohio is a big part of that because, you know, I have two French bulldogs. One's Baby Chaos, one is the Creature, and we love them, you know. And it's like, so I don't want to leave and go to work, you know. So we made it to where like we moved here, and the cost of living here is categorically less than Palm Beach County, Florida. So, you know, it was a no-brainer. So I came up here. My daughter lives nearby, so it was kind of
nice,
big part of that. And you know, and this place when we moved in here, because man, I was working on my back porch back home. It was so hot.
Oh God. Yes.
So hot. So with this place, it came with an external garage, like a detached garage in the back. Boom. And you know, I was working off a 2x42 grinder, and a buddy of mine, I'll leave him nameless, but he really helped me out. We made a knife together. I went to his shop and did some stuff. We did a little collaboration together, and he had given me a drill press and a couple of other tools. And like, I learned a lot of stuff at his shop, and that kind of, from that point on, I was like, okay, so now I've seen it. And his shop is a knife maker's dream. It's freaking awesome. But so, you know, once I got to experience that, it was the snowball got thrown, you know. So I was like, okay, now I have to spend every second figuring this out, you know. And then, you know, we did a collaboration, and you know, he helped me raise some money to get a good grinder. And last year I got an awesome 2x72 Beaumont KM GTX, and I've been busting my butt since then.
Is this guy, and I'm not going to ask for a name, but is he an Ohio knife maker?
No.
Okay.
No, he's down south.
Okay.
But he really helped me out. He did. And I wish I could say his name or whatever, but you know.
Yeah.
But once I got that grinder, man, it was just I could do so much other stuff, you know. So, and it refined everything, and I really took a boost right there. I feel like, you know, your tools are important. You got to have good tools.
It sounds like you had a Craftsman 42x2 or something like that.
Yeah, it was like a buck tool 2x42. You know, it started on a little 1x30 until I fried that thing, you know. And then I went up, and I couldn't afford a good grinder at the time, but I went to his shop and played around with his Beaumont. So when I got back, I was like, after doing that, I have to upgrade somehow. So I bought the 2x42. I was like, this is at least a little better, right? So I started playing with that, and then like several months later, I was up here and I got the new one and set up. I got the workshop too. I'm not out in the sun in Florida.
Yeah.
You know, the battle here is the wintertime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so this raises an interesting question to me, which is, um, obviously, when you upgrade your tools, you kind of upgrade the whole experience. Your skills increase. It's probably more enjoyable to do the work and all
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah.
But there's also the issue of not waiting to start making knives, for instance, or any other thing that you want to make because you don't have the perfect tool set. How do you balance that?
Well, like I said before, I'm a jump in it kind of guy. I didn't really have any plan, like I just wanted to do it. I hadn't planned on not tattooing anymore. Like that was that's my career. I've done that for 26 straight years. Like, but people always are so afraid to up and switch their game, like, oh,
Yeah.
I wish I could do this with my life. They've done something their whole damn life and now it's stale. So they want they want a new career, whatever. They never do it because they're scared it's not going to work out. And not to get cliche or anything, a long time ago, I heard the quote, everything you ever wanted is just on the other side of fear. And it's like, so just do some shit, jump in. Like I switched overnight. I literally within the same week closed the tattoo shop, moved to Ohio, and went full time. Like in that week, like I didn't tattoo anymore once I left Florida, and it was only like a week's worth of time. It was wild, man. And I've been that was 2 years ago, not crazy long ago, but I've been fully supporting me and my wife and our stuff for 2 years straight, doing this without a problem.
Well, you mentioned your wife. She does your Turk heads knots.
Yeah, she hates doing them too, but she's way more patient than me.
So I know I've spoken to a lot of knife makers who mention their wives. Either their wives are a part of the business or their support is invaluable in making a change like that. Would you say that was the case?
Yeah, dude, like her even just being here, she's awesome. You know what I mean? She's freaking awesome. And she's never doubted me or been like, are you sure you want to do this? She's like, fuck yeah, babe, let's do it. And it's like her being there, I think she just trusts me, man. She knows I grew up rough, so I've had to fend for myself my whole life. And I've done some fun stuff in life. I released a album in music stores and a metal band I used to play in. Like I got to tour, done some stuff, so I think she just trusts that I'm not going to let us crash and burn, man,
Yeah.
So, I think she backs it. She's about it. It's awesome. And she stays home and watches the boys. Like we have like a stay at home mom, dad works kind of thing. Only dad works right out back.
That's
And
cool.
I love that, dude. I love that. I never leave my house, man. The only time I leave my house is to go to the post office to ship orders, go to the vape store, or just the gas station down the street. Outside of that, I don't leave. I get my groceries delivered. I like my house. I like what I do. And I love her being around. Like some people can't spend every minute of their life with their wife. Yeah. A lot of people can't. Like that is definitely not the case over here. And I feel incredibly blessed on that front.
Yeah, man. I mean,
that in the knife community being so welcoming, that's really what did it. It's
I was like everything about what you just said sounds incredibly blessed. And,
yeah.
And then also getting the tutelage from someone who's made their bones already in knife making is so important. I've heard that so many times from different makers. I love seeing these patterns emerge. Like everyone seems to say, like maybe there's one or two bad apples every once in a while, but on the whole, it's unlike any other industry because people are.
It's a really cool place, man. I've met some really awesome people in the knife community. I've also met some D-bags, but you're gonna have that everywhere. But it's been really. People are just pretty cool. I mean, if you're, most of the time you're cool to somebody, they're cool to you, but they've been very welcoming of me into the mix. Like I've never had any problems at all, like I love it. That's a big part of what I like too, which, discovering all of that, it made it even more appealing, it's like, now you're getting input and different criticisms from different people. And, like meeting my guy that helped me out, he reached out to me, just I followed him. I love his work, so it's kind of like all of a sudden he messaged me and he was like, hey, I want to help you out. And I'm like, sweet.
That's awesome.
So.
Well, I want to ask you about advice you'd give new knife makers. But before I get to that, do you have any other knives in front of you?
Yeah, I got a few, my dude. I got ready to go. This is another one I like. This is the Hemlock Mini. It's a lot like the Titan V2, but there's a bigger version of it. It's a more slender design, but it has the same concept.
This is like the Titan V2 meets your Elven knife.
Yeah, it's like just a kind of a slimmer model. Like here's them next to each other. Different handle,
Yeah.
Like I like this. I made this. I've only made one other one of these. Actually, I haven't even finished it yet. But like a guy saw this one. I made this for myself, and it's a good little utilitarian tool. I use it a lot. It's got the recurve too. And
is that double edged as well?
This one's not. Because I made it for. I wouldn't be opposed to maybe like working it out to be a double edged and for somebody else, but I got this strictly so I could carry it around and use it in whatever circumstances, whether it be, hey, can you cut the string off my shoe? Or, yo, get the F off me,
Right.
So then there's that. And then this is a new one. This one's called Peregrine because it kind of looks like a falcon. That's just the only reason. I love falcons. They're the raddest bird on the planet.
Yeah. They're like the fastest animal.
They get like 240 miles an hour.
Jeez, man.
Like a little missile with beak and claws,
Yeah.
But this one's cool. It's also got some utilitarian vibes. You can get in and, cut some wire, whatever you got to do,
But also, that looks like a double edge.
Yeah, this one's double edged. I just made these. This is the last one I have left. I got to send it out tomorrow. I saved it to show it on here. Pretty cool little blade.
So how do you get your logo in there? Is that acid etched or?
Yeah, it's electro etched, which that is. I don't know if you can see it.
It looks deep. I mean, it looks like it's in relief there.
Yeah, it's. I take vinyl tape, and I draw it on each blade. I do it by hand. And then I use an electro etcher with like a salt and water, like an etchant, it's like electricity. You put a little clip on, zap it a little bit. And then I do all that before I do the finish. So like when you do the finish, it gets like a little darker and I see this bigger one better.
Oh yeah.
And that symbol, that's what I used to sign all my paintings and art with, when I was an art, like doing that kind of art,
Yeah.
So I was like, yo, I was destined to do this. Like my little thing even looks like a maker's mark. Let's go.
It's cool. Yeah. It's a nice looking symbol, man. Thanks. So the Peregrine, Peregrine is a brand new model for you?
Yeah, it was kind of, I did one in the beginning and I found the template for it, wadded up somewhere in a drawer. And I was like, I'm going to re-go on this. And I gave it a little bit of a makeover. But yeah, I just recently, I was like, so I made these just for, for fun of it. I made 4 of them. They're just like the handles, it's like hemp underneath the wrap.
Yeah, I like
a little less extravagant, but I priced them accordingly. And it's a really comfortable knife and it's very center line tip.
Yep. Yes. And then anything else?
What'd you say?
Did you have another knife you were about to pull out?
I have I guess that's it, man. That's 10 of them. Oh, I have this. Awesome. I showed you this guy, no?
Oh yeah. Tell us about this little guy.
This is like everybody has to have some kind of Quaken model, right? Or Keiken, whatever. Like, if you're gonna make knives, or you're not gonna make such a classic Japanese knife, come on, dude. So this one is called Kabuki, and this isn't what it normally looks like. There's some on my Instagram. This one was like, I'm gonna do this with a Kabuki. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I did like OD green scales with black pins with the sukamaki and ray skin in the middle, little red thing. All the Kabukis get that little red good fortune piece on it. And then on the sheath, I'll do like red finishing washers. So it's snazzy, kind of how this has like the OD green ones.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, so everything looks fun.
So are most of your sheaths just straight up Kydex?
Yeah, or I'll just do like the leather bits over there. I'm not into leather work yet. I wouldn't mind getting into that down the road, but man, I need more space
Yeah,
before
yeah.
I get into
That's
that.
a whole other skill to learn. And
It is. It's a whole different. It's that's what I mean. It's like it's just I can't do it right now. It's not even important enough to do right now. You know what I mean? But I will get into it because I'd love to do some nice. I like art, man, and like when you're talking about leather work, like and even knife making. Once you get past the function, the duty of the blade or the sheath, once you get to that point and it's rock solid, everything else is the art part, you know, even the creation of it in general. But like, I love to make like knives look, I like to play with the finishes and do like that whole aesthetics part. I'll be honest, is my favorite part, you know, of the process. Like some of the process I can't stand. I hate cutting blanks, which I thought about getting like all my main stuff water jetted from now on, but and then just doing side projects by hand with the cutting. And I hate doing like your everyday just Kydex sheath over, you know what I mean? Like they're all this is basically how like my every, you know, I use strictly DCC, collar DCC, but
I mean, that looks like a beautiful sheath, but I hear you. I've made Kydex sheaths for, you know, knives in my collection before. And it is a serious buzzkill, man.
It's monotonous, man. I freaking hate it.
And well, for me, obviously, I don't make my living doing it, but half the time they're amazing, and half the time they suck. So
yeah, it's like sometimes like you're just having a good day, and then, but dude, like this was super fun to do this one, you know. And I have made. Dang, I should have brought one of those up here. I've made some like really fun chest rigs and stuff. Like I have a Bastinelli Apocalypse, you know, and I made a big chest rig for it, like so, and it has like a pouch with a tourniquet in it and stuff like that, a flashlight. The flashlight mounts on, so it faces forward, so you're like hands-free flashlight with a big knife.
That's the one, the Apocalypse or whatever. It looks like a sax, right? It looks sort of
it's got like a Warncliffe kind of thing. It's a badass knife, man.
I love that knife. I love his stuff. And as a matter of fact, before you mentioned something about functional deadly art, and it made me think of Bastinelli because
he's my favorite what do you call it, factory knives, I guess. I got a ton of Bastinelli stuff. Like I have a pretty vast collection of knives, man. Every time I get a new one, I'm like, I try to justify it by like research and development. It's all like part of the plan, you know.
I'm doing it for the podcast. That's my excuse. All right.
So like Bastinelli stuff, I have a ton. I probably have more like from each maker that I have. My collection of his stuff is probably the biggest.
Oh,
it's just universally great, you know.
It is beautiful. It feels great in hand. And he, you know, you watch Bastian on his channel and his Instagram page. You know, he knows what he's doing too. Like he's very skilled.
Yeah.
So it's not just looking cool. It's
right. Which the function is the most important part of a knife. Other than that, you're making a wall hanger. And dude, if you want to make wall hangers, cool, you know, but I want to make something that looks freaking cool and does its job too, you know, like it's like, cause both is the ultimate, hey, fuck yeah, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Before we wrap here, I want to ask you what kind of advice you would give new knife makers, whether there's someone like you who's coming off a different career and wants to make a go at something that they love, or they're just starting out and they think maybe they have a facility for it. What would you recommend? What would you advise?
Well, firstly, I'd say if you really want to do something, do it. You know what I mean? There's nobody holding you back on anything but yourself, but also research what you're doing, like, and pay attention to like what other people say, like other makers, like when you're reading posts on Facebook or forums or whatever, like pay attention to what people say and who said it, you know, so you can judge whether or not you want to use that information or whatever, you know what I mean? And, you know, like you can kind of tell like, oh, so these people like this, these people like, there's your collector, there's your user, and then there's your in-betweener. I'm an in-betweener because I like to collect stuff for the sake of having it. And I like to have my users that I'll beat up, you know?
Yeah.
So I think what I wanted to do, and I think this is why I did pretty good right away, is I try to cater to both of those people simultaneously, like some people, they'll buy a knife like this and it'll sit in their safe and they'll take it out and take pictures of it. And it's like, that's great. I do that too, but then there's the guys that they're going to take it to work and they're going to beat the hell out of it. So it needs to be a quality piece, but you can also appeal to people that are just looking for a functional piece of art, Yeah. So I try to like throw all that in the bag. You know what I mean? Like I cater to all of the buyers, you know what I mean? But, for advice, I would just say like, pay attention to what people are into, and then learn the steels, like don't just, you got to create something that's not going to break. It's going to be hard. It's going to hold the edge, things like that. The science, metallurgy or metallurgy, however you say that, like read into that. It's really complicated, but like just use steels and that you can heat treat properly without like 1084. A lot of beginners use 1084 and it's like, but you can't really mess up 1084. It's almost impossible. I feel like, but just start there and work your way out, you know what I mean? And just do it. A lot of things, practice grinding. Like you can go get some paint sticks from Wall or Home Depot or something and practice beveling, make a profile and make like 10 of them in a row and just get the art of the bevel down and then, sharpen it. I had a learning curve on sharpening knives, man. It took me a second to get that down. I don't know why, but now it's good. I shave all the arm hair off my arm in one swipe, but it's like, it took me like, it's like, what are you doing wrong? So I would go out there and just be like, all right, but I got it. I'm good. But it took me a second, but some things are easy to do. And some things takes a second to get past the curve, but new knife makers just practice.
And get past that curve. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I said, and get past that curve. And then you
got to get to a comfort zone. And once you get to that comfort zone, then you have to kind of push yourself out of that comfort zone and keep on trucking. So I'm always trying to do new stuff. Like I would love to make like traditional takedown wakizashis.
Oh, okay. Wait. Don't talk about that because that's a question I'm going to ask you in our exclusive Patreon interview. I want to ask about aspirational blades. Roger Pearson, thank you so much. Roger Pearson of Savage Creature Defense Tools. Really appreciate you. I love your work. I think it's beautiful.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
I thank you for having me, dude. It's an honor. I wouldn't expect it. I'm like, this guy makes knives. I appreciate the shout out, like the exposure, I appreciate it. I saw you had Sean Old from Gross Motor Gear too, which I love Sean. He makes awesome stuff.
Well, he
does. Piano player. I don't know if you know that, but
I did not know that.
Sorry.
Man, I have two of his knives and they are so beautiful.
I have the Mumushi Mini. And I have the Wraith. That Wraith is one of my favorite blades I own. I don't even carry it now because I don't want to lose it, which is kind of dumb, but I just love that knife. The way it's got kind of a neutral handle, but with this cap on the end, and it's just a freaking giant thorn. Pow! It's one of my favorite blades. It's probably my favorite straight blade that I carry or that I have. Yeah, I love Sean's stuff. Good guy too.
Good guy. Yeah. As are you, sir. Thank you so much, Roger. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, man.
There he goes, ladies and gentlemen. Roger Pearson of Savage Creature Defense Tools, where function meets art, you might say. Beautiful defensive blades, but of course you can use them for everything. I do. You don't have to. You don't have to have a defensive knife just sit in the cabinet. You can take it out with you and use it to cut that string off your collar. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to join us on Thursday Night Knives for a live conversation, and of course the Wednesday for the midweek supplemental. For Jim working his magic behind the switcher, I'm Bob DeMarco saying until next time, don't take dull for an answer.
Thanks for listening to the Knife Junkie podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review at reviewthepodcast.com. For show notes for today's episode, additional resources, and to listen to past episodes, visit our website, TheKnifeJunkie.com. You can also watch our latest videos on YouTube at TheKnifeJunkie.com/YouTube. Check out some great knife photos on TheKnifeJunkie.com/Instagram, and join our Facebook group at TheKnifeJunkie.com/Facebook. And if you have a question or comment, email them to bob@TheKnifeJunkie.com or call our 24/7 listener line at 724-466-4487, and you may hear your comment or question answered on an upcoming episode of the Knife Junkie podcast.